Hello, hello, welcome, welcome. Let me just pin myself. Hey everyone. So today in our restful practice, we're going to be doing some wiggling and moving into our bodies, followed by some extended rest shapes. So for our practice today, I would recommend having your mat, if you can, with a little space from roll to side. Um, Also, a couple of pillows. They can be bed pillows, they can be pillows from your sofa, cushions from your sofa. So recommend a little bit of space on the sides of your mat so you can roll around a little bit. Um, and a couple of pillows. We're going to be doing stuff on all fours. So if you like support underneath your knees, maybe a blanket, also maybe a blanket for the end for our rest. If you have blocks and bolster, have them handy. If you don't worry about it. So make sure you've got a little bit of space. You've got some pillows to support underneath the body. But we're going to start off lying down on our backs, just somewhere that is really comfy. So that might be legs extended. It might be feet on the mat, knees up to the sky. If you need to wiggle, if you need to grab bits and bobs, take as long as you need. There is absolutely no rush to arrive. But we're going to meet lying down on our backs when we are ready. There is a playlist in the chat if you would like it. So find yourself to lie down on the ground, somewhere that feels really genuinely comfortable in the body. There might be feet on the mat, knees up to the sky. We also can start off lying on our side if that feels better for us today. Any wiggles, anything that can make ourselves as comfortable meeting the ground as possible. You can take as long as you need to set up. There is absolutely no rush. But when we do arrive, we're going to take 3 big, maybe very loud exhales together. So breathing in through the nose, filling up the belly full of air. Big, loud sigh out of the mouth. Breathing in through the nose, filling up the belly full of air. Big sigh out of the mouth. One more. Breathing in through the nose, filling up the belly full of air. Big, loud sigh out of the mouth. If there's anything you can do to make yourself even 1% comfier, taking the time to do that. Drawing our attention to our breath, but also our attention to ourselves. When we bring our attention onto ourselves this evening, our body, our mind, where does our attention go? Does it go to our thoughts? Does it go to our breath? Does it go to a particular part of the body? And trying to notice this without judgment, but starting off our practice by listening to ourselves, however we'd like to interpret that. There's a quote I really love by David Alsberger, and he says, being heard is so close to being loved that for the average person, it is almost indistinguishable. Being heard is so close to being loved that for the average person, it is almost indistinguishable. I think we can get quite broad with our self-care, our self-love practices. Also can seem quite overwhelming that there's so much to do, so many ways we can show up for ourselves. And I really like how this quote sort of narrows it down to the action of listening to ourselves, and showing ourselves love by turning up in that way. So I'd love to offer up the intention simply to listen today, however we'd like to interpret that. I say simply, obviously it's not simple, but when we start to wander, maybe coming back to I am listening to myself, I am listening to my body. whatever way that is connecting for you today. Like I said, this practice is going to have some more movement. We're going to be wiggling in the first half, sort of softly, exploratively moving through shapes. And in that movement, maybe giving ourselves a little bit more space to listen in different ways, to get into the body, to get into those nooks and crannies. So from wherever we are, we're going to start to hug the knees in towards the chest, taking a little bit of movement that feels nice. That might be gently moving the knees from side to side, circling the knees in the same direction or in opposite directions, whatever feels nice for you. And then when we are ready, we're going to roll onto the fetal position on the right side of the body. So we're all coming onto the right side of the body. We're going to bring ourselves into a tight fetal position, so curling up. We're going to inhale here, and then we're going to roll back onto our backs, stretching out our arms and legs into an X position. So you might have heard these called X rolls. So making that X shape with the body. And then we're going to curl back in, rolling onto the left side of the body. So doing this in whatever way feels comfortable. We roll and we stretch out to this X shape, hands wide, legs wide. We roll back onto the right side of the body. So we're doing this at whatever pace feels good in our body, coming from this closed side position, stretching out onto our backs, lying on our backs, reaching through the fingertips and the toes, slowly rolling back onto the other side. A couple more of these at your own pace. Maybe noticing how it feels to be curled up. And maybe noticing how it feels to stretch out. Really nice. We're all going to meet lying on the right-hand side. So back to that fetal position. If the fetal position, that head is uncomfortable here, because we're going to be bringing both of our hands out in line with our shoulder. We're going to grab our pillows or our blanket to place underneath the right ear. So we're lying on the side of the body, maybe something supporting underneath the head, both hands out in line with the shoulder. We are very gently going to start to open into our twist. So it might start off with the left fingertips, slowly moving up towards the elbow, and then rolling that hand back down, maybe reaching a little bit further than the fingertips. Really slowly uncurling. So maybe this time that left hand traces across the arm and comes towards the heart. And then we roll all the way back. Maybe reaching the left fingertips a little further. Maybe now we start to open that left hand out into this capital T shape on the earth. So opening out into our twist. Maybe that left shoulder's on the ground. Maybe it's lifted. And then we come back. So we're keeping it moving, reaching the left fingertips forward, and then opening it up into our lying down twist, maybe with support underneath the head. Exploring this motion, not worrying about maybe coming into the deepest twist or getting both of our shoulders on the ground, but noticing how this feels at different places along the way, opening across the front of the body. We can keep this as it is, or we can do something different with our left arm. So if we'd like to, we'll start to reach the left arm overhead, maybe tracing the fingertips across the earth in a big semicircle position, and then taking it back the opposite way. So we're not taking it over the body, we're reaching over the top of our head. Even if the fingertips aren't reaching the earth, that's okay. But that's the motion, tracing the hand over the top of the head, making a big semicircle, and then bringing it back the way it came. You might notice places where you want to have a little bit more of a play. You might want to go over a little bit of the body. You might want to hold somewhere that feels good. No right or wrong. We're going to take 3 more rounds of breath on this side. You're welcome to open up into that twist and hold here for these 3 rounds of breath. Maybe shoulders are on the earth, maybe not. And then we're going to come all the way back onto the right side of the body into our fetal position. We're going to roll back onto our back, hugging our knees in towards our chest. And then we roll over to the left-hand side. Again, maybe there is a pillow or a blanket supporting underneath the head. Both hands in line with the shoulder. We gently start to pull the right fingertips across that bottom arm, just maybe to the elbow to start off with. Then we start to reach the arms forward. Now we know where we're going, but that doesn't mean we need to rush to get there. Still exploring on this side. Maybe the hand comes to the elbow again, if that felt like enough. Maybe the hand comes to the heart. We come all the way back down. We can reach the fingertips a little further at that top arm. Maybe we now start to open up towards our twist. That might be hand to shoulder. That might be arm reaching behind us. No rush to get into the twist with hands in that capital T shape. And when that arm comes back where it came, maybe reaching that arm a little bit further forward. Expanding across the front of the body. And then closing back up into this fetal position shape. Again, we can stay with this as it is, or our right hand can start to reach over the head. So fingertips towards the ground, drawing this big semicircle with this right arm. And then taking it back the way we came. Again, you can have a little play. If there's a place we want to repeat the movement, get into a little nook and cranny. No right or wrong. Exploring this side, reminding ourselves still to breathe. Again, we've got 3 more rounds of breath here. We can stay to be in our open twist, both hands into that capital T shape, or we can keep it moving if that feels better for us. And then we're going to come back to lie on the fetal position on the left-hand side. We're going to roll back onto our back, slowly moving our body with care, hugging the knees in towards the chest, taking a little bit of movement that feels nice. And then we're going to roll onto the side of the body that feels the most comfortable, taking a few rounds of breath here. Maybe the bottom hand, arm rest underneath the head. And then again, absolutely no rush. We're going to find our way up to a seated position. Now we want somewhere that feels really comfortable. So if you want to sit on a pillow, on a blanket, on a block, if we're a person who, when we sit up, feel like the weight is moving backwards a little bit, and we struggle to sit tall through the spine, maybe because of the makeup of our pelvis, the bones in our body, elevating the hips might allow us to sit up a tiny little bit easier. But anywhere we can sit tall through our spine, any little wiggles along the way, super welcome. We're going to take this into a seated cat and cow, but we're going to include our arms. So we're going to inhale, let the belly lift, chest lift. We look up and we stretch the arms out into this big V shape. And then we're going to exhale round into the spine, giving ourselves a big hug, either arm on top. We're going to inhale, let the belly lift, let the chest lift. We stretch out the extremities, the fingertips, reaching up. We exhale round into the spine, chin towards the chest. Our other arm comes on top. So again, moving through this. You can mix it up a little bit. We don't need to do these exact arms. If you want to stay in a hug, maybe for 1 round, noticing how that changes the cat and cow, holding ourselves the whole time. We can keep the arms open as we reach forward. And then maybe rounding with the arms, staying relatively open. We're going to start to circle the torso. Again, our arms can do anything that feels nice here. So maybe coming down as we come from one side to the other, maybe reaching out, maybe giving ourselves a nice hug, wiggling into the body, arms doing whatever feels nice. Maybe it's a really small circle with a really gentle hug. Maybe it's big stretchy movements, maybe anything in between. And then we're going to change direction, circling the other way, hands doing whatever feels comfortable for you. Arms maybe adding on to the stretch. Anything that feels nice. Absolutely no right and wrong. Slowly, we're going to come to stillness. Shoulders coming back on top of the hips. Slowing the circles down until they come to a standstill. And then we're going to inhale, bring the shoulders all the way up by the ears. Exhale, we really heavily let them drop. 2 more like that, bring the shoulders all the way up by the ears on the inhale, heavily letting the shoulders drop down. 1 more, bringing the shoulders all the way up by the ears. We heavily let them drop. Lovely, everyone. We're going to slowly start to make our way to an all fours position. If you want that extra support underneath the knees, even if your knees aren't sensitive, it can be really nice to add that support just to make our practice a little bit softer. We're moving to all fours. We can be on our palms, so flexing our wrists. We can be on fists, or if you want a little bit less weight on the hands, we can bring our hands onto blocks to bring the weight a little higher. We're going to come into a cat and cow. We really want to move from the softness of our belly. So for me, I have to do a little shake off through my hips, a little shake off through the body to try and really relax the tummy muscles. Naturally, try to grab onto them a little bit. So trying to really let them be soft. And then we're going to inhale, let the belly really relax, hips move back, chest lifts. Exhale, belly button lifts towards the ceiling, chin towards the chest. So can we really let this lead from the softness of our belly? The inhale, the belly moves down, really soft and relaxed, hips move back, chest lifts. We exhale, push the ground away, belly button rises, rounding into the spine. So not having the intention maybe to be the deepest cat and cow we've ever done. But can we really let this lead from our belly? That's not connecting for you today, moving through your cat and cow in a way that it does. Absolutely no right and wrong. Lovely, everyone. We're going to take this into a little bit of free movement on all fours, a little bit of exploring. Maybe still letting that really lead from your belly. So if you've really connected to the softness of our belly, allowing us to move through cat and cow, can we let our belly initiate the movement of this free wiggle? We can also just close down the eyes and move into the body in any way that feels good. We can take it out of all fours, coming back to kneeling, having a little wiggle here. We can lift one arm up in all fours. No right or wrong. Exploring the shape. Maybe leading from our belly. Maybe just letting our body lead us without anything specific. Knowing that cat and cow is always there to come back to. Really nice, everyone. And if we feel lost, we can come back to that cat and cow shape and continue to play from there. If all fours is feeling really nurturing and good, we can stay here. If you want a little bit more, we start to walk our hands further forward, tuck all 10 toes, coming into our downward facing dog. If you want this to be a little bit softer in your wrists, we can grab our blocks and place our hands underneath our blocks. And again, a bit of wiggling that feels nice, maybe bending one knee, then the other, maybe giving our head a nice nod and shake. Maybe coming back to all fours for a moment and then coming back to down dog, or staying in all fours and playing there for a little while. Really lovely, everyone. From all fours or from down dog, we're going to find our way to a forward fold at the front of our mat. feet roughly hip distance, but they absolutely can be wider. There's much bend in the knees to make this feel good. So that might be a little bend, might be a really deep bend. Forearms can rest on our thighs. If this is quite strong for us, our arms can be relaxed, our arms can be crossed. And again, any movement here that feels good, maybe swaying the body from side to side, maybe giving our head a little nod and shake. Keeping some softness in the knees. Thinking about the weight moving forward, trying to keep the torso as relaxed as we can. Maybe giving our head one more nod and shake. And then if we're grabbing opposite elbow, we're going to release. Little bend in the knees. Slowly, we're going to roll, arms relaxed, all the way up to standing. Torso heavy, head heavy. When we get to the top, rolling our shoulders up and back. We're going to roll back down just as much as feels good. So arms heavy, head heavy. We're letting the torso relax down. And when we go as far as feels good, we're then keeping that bend in the knees slowly. At whatever pace feels good for you, not worrying about the pace I'm doing. Rolling back up, arms heavy, head heavy. When we get to the top, shoulders up and back. Maybe we want to slow it down even more, relaxing the arms, relaxing the head, finding our way to a version of this shape that feels good. And then pressing into our feet, stacking our body, slowly finding our way up to standing. We're going to do one more of these from wherever we are. So we relax the arms, relax the head. We roll all the way down. And then really thinking about rooting into our feet. We roll all the way back up to standing. When we get to the top, shoulders up and back. Palms gently facing forward, a little bit of softness in the knees. Gentle inhale. Gentle exhale. We're going to reach the arms above our heads. Maybe we grab opposite elbow. Maybe we grab opposite forearm or wrist. Anywhere grabbing here that feels good. We're going to come into some side bends. So a little bend in the knees. We take the torso over towards the right-hand side. This might be a really small movement, just as much as feels good. And then we let the torso curl forward. A little bit of softness in the knees. We come back to this forward fold we've already been in. We move ourselves over to the left. Uncurl to the left, coming through our side bend. We're going to bring ourselves all the way back up. When we're ready, letting the weight tip us, we go over to the left, so going the opposite way. Once the side bend has reached its maximum, we fold forward, heavy through the torso. We uncurl over to the other side, opening up through that left side of the body. We bring ourselves back, really letting the weight of the torso take us. As it starts to move back the opposite way over to the right. Torso moves down, heavy, over to the left. Building our way all the way back up to standing. We move over to the left. Just as much as feels good, we curl back down towards the ground. Over to the right. One more time, each way at your pace. Letting your side bend come over to the right. Curl down. Rebuild to the left. One more time. The weight of the arms, of the torso, of the head takes you over to the left. Curling back down. Over to the right. Bringing ourselves all the way back up. We're going to reach the arms up towards the sky. We can stay heels on the ground, or we're coming onto tiptoes. So either on tiptoes or heels rooting into the earth, we reach our fingertips up really actively, taking up space with our body, making our body really big. And then we're going to softly let the hands come down by our sides, palms facing forward, lift into the heart, coming into our Tadasana, our mountain pose. Taking a gentle inhale together, gentle exhale. We are moving into a very loose version of a sun salutation. So we're going to be moving through the rough edges of the shape, bringing our arms up, folding forward, finding some form of halfway lift, and then finding 4 points of contact with the earth. So that might be all fours, that might be down dog. If you want a little bit of fire before coming into our rest, you're welcome to take plank in those 4 points of contact. You want to keep it really soft, all fours, somewhere in between, down dog. Palms gently facing forward. If you feel like you need a little shake, a little wiggle, taking your time. And letting yourself be free with this. So not being so strict maybe on what you would do in other settings, maybe trying to tap into how your body wants to move. So we're going to inhale to reach our arms up. They might stay shoulder distance. They might come into a prayer. Reaching to find length through the body. We're going to exhale to fold. That might be with a flat back. We might prefer to round forward. We're going to inhale to lengthen through the spine, hands on shins or thighs or by our sides or on blocks. Hands to the earth, we step back to those 4 points of contact. So that might be all fours, that might be down dog, that might be our plank. If you want to keep these wiggling, that is of course so welcome, keeping that movement, that flow in the body, or we can hold in stillness if we prefer. When you've taken 5 breaths, we're going to find our way back to forward fold. So really not worrying if you're working with me, trying to move with your breath at your pace. We're going to inhale, find the way up to standing, reaching the arms up in some capacity, lengthening through the body. We exhale, falling down towards the earth in any way that feels good. We inhale, halfway lift, lengthening through the spine. Hands to the earth or blocks, we step back to all fours, down dog or plank for 5 rounds of breath. We might wiggle, we might hold in stillness. Trying to work with your breath count, flowing at your pace, not worrying so much if you're with my timing. Once we've taken those 5 breaths, we're going to find our way back to a forward fold at the front of the mat, legs as wide as is comfy. We're going to inhale, halfway lift, length through the spine. Exhaling to fold all the way down. We find our way up to standing, maybe flat back, maybe rounding through the spine, rolling up, reaching the arms up towards the sky. We exhale to fall back down. Hands maybe softly folding, maybe moving down by our sides. We inhale, length through the spine, hands to the earth, 4 points of contact with the ground. All fours, down dog, or plank. Wiggles, super welcome. Holding in stillness, letting the breath move through us, also super welcome. When we've taken our 5 breaths, we're going to inhale to the front of the mat, finding that length through the spine, halfway lift. We exhale to fold. We're going to sweep the arms above the head, reaching up towards the sky. One more time at your pace. Exhaling to fold down towards the earth. Inhaling to find that length through the spine. Exhaling, hands towards the earth, 4 points of contact with the ground. We can wiggle, we can be in all fours. We could take a child's pose for these 5 breaths. We can keep it moving. We can hold with stillness, still letting the breath, the body feel alive with that energy of breath moving through. Really nice, everyone. We're going to find our way back to forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhaling to fold. We find our way up to standing in any way that is comfortable. Arms reaching up towards the sky, maybe in prayer. We pull the prayer down to our heart, or palms over our heart. Taking a big inhale through the nose. Big sigh out of the mouth. Feeling the warmth of our hands near our heart, the feet on the earth. And then when we're ready, we're coming into one more standing forward fold. We let the arms relax. We let the head curl. We roll down. We're going to find our way back to all fours. And then from all fours, we're going to find our way to seated. We're coming to a seated forward fold. So if you like to sit on something to help elevate the hips, like I said before, if you're a person whose pelvis naturally tucks under a little bit, your body is sort of further away in forward fold to start with. Though sitting on a pillow, maybe a rolled up blanket, maybe a block, you're allowing your pelvis to come a little bit further forward to help with the forward folds. Legs at any width that feels comfortable, hands resting on our legs. We're going to inhale, sit up tall through the spine. We're going to exhale, let our hands trace down our legs. We fold forward just to the point that feels comfortable. So hands stay on the legs. And then we're going to inhale to come all the way back up, letting the hands trace up the legs. We're going to fold forward, hands move down our legs. We go as much as is comfortable. There's no need to go super far here. We're going to roll all the way back up. Heavy through the head and torso still. We're rolling forwards, hands moving down our legs, rounding into our spine. We're going to curl all the way back up. This time when we come down, we're going to hold for 3 breaths. So finding somewhere that feels comfortable to do that. Letting our head be heavy. If that's uncomfortable in the chest, we can lift the head a little higher. Soft forward fold, not clenching or pulling or yanking ourselves. And then we're going to bring ourselves back up. We're going to bend our right knee, maybe using our hands to move our leg. And we're going to let that knee open out to the side. If this knee is very high, maybe grabbing one of your pillows or your blocks, or you just want to give it a little bit more support. It doesn't need to be super high, but maybe a little bit of support underneath that right leg. Our left leg is, the foot is flexed and it is active. We're going to be coming into a side opener. So we want to be able to push into this leg. So our left hand or elbow or forearm is going to come to the inside of that leg, wherever that's comfortable. Our right hand is going to come onto our heart. We're going to open over that right shoulder, pressing the left hand into the leg. And then we're going to reach that arm up towards the sky. If that's not comfortable, hand can stay on the heart. And then we're going to let that hand come back down towards that shoulder, come across the front of the chest. We let the chest turn towards the ground. That hand reaches down towards that left palm. So similar to what we were doing on the ground, we let the right hand trace across the arm, chest, maybe it stays on the shoulder, maybe it reaches up towards the sky. Opening into that side of the body, but also adding in this twist when we let the chest fold forward. And then we open it up. Right arm goes to where you feel good in this opening. It doesn't matter what the position of the arm is. Again, we can do what we did on the ground, take it into these semicircles. So rather than tracing across the body, drawing a big semicircle with this right arm to open. And then taking it back the way that it came. This might not feel great in our shoulders today. So if it doesn't, we let the hand trace across the body, giving that arm a little bit more support. Really nice. We're going to take one more round of this, whatever we're doing. And then we're going to bring the torso back up. I'm going to pull this right knee in, right leg out. Give our legs a little shake. Really nice. We're going to come to do this on the other side. This time, our left foot comes in, the knee opens out. We need that support, or we just want to make it a little bit softer and more held today. We bring something underneath that left knee. Right arm, elbow, wherever you can grab, comes to the inside of that leg. Left hand onto the heart or into the shoulder. We turn over that left shoulder, opening up into the side of the body. We can stay here, or that arm can reach up towards the sky. We're then going to bring that hand back down, let it trace across the body, trace across that right arm. And then we peel that arm all the way back up. Opening into that twist, opening into the side of the body. That left hand doesn't have to make contact with the body if we don't want to. You can trace across the space of the body if we prefer. Really nice. We can keep this as it is. We can take big semicircles with this left arm to end up in a similar place. Again, if there's a place that feels a bit niggly, we can spend a little bit more time repeating over that part of the body. No right or wrong. Opening up over that left shoulder in any way that feels good. Really nice, everyone. We're going to bring ourselves to sit back up. We're going to pull our left knee in, bring the legs out in front of us, give our legs a little shake. Finding that seat that feels comfortable, we're going to inhale, bring our hands out to a capital T shape. We're going to give ourselves a hug, right arm over left, or whichever arm we want, and we're going to stay holding here. Feeling the warmth of our hands, holding our body. Noticing how it feels to hold the container of you. To hold your skin, your physical body. When we're ready, we're going to inhale, bring our hands out to a capital T shape. Left arm on top, we just switch it over, giving ourselves a hug with the other arm. Holding all of the magic that's in you, all of your wisdom. Really nice. We're going to slowly start to release this hug. We're coming to lie down. Just make sure all of your pillows and soft things and bolsters and whatever you've got are close to you for when you're on the earth. We're going to find our way to lie down in any way that is comfortable. When we do, hugging the knees in towards the chest. Maybe a little wiggle here, circling the knees. You might want to come to happy baby for a moment, maybe hands on the backs of the thighs. Anything that's comfy, allowing the spine to come back into contact with the ground. We've got two options for our neck shape. We're going to roll onto the right side of the body. We want some softness in between the knees here. So we want this to be a really soft shape. That might be our bolster, that might be a pillow, maybe a pillow or a block underneath our head as well. So we either come into a more restorative shape, our side lying shape here, where we're on the side of the body in a supported fetal shape, or we can come back to our twist that we did at the beginning, but really soft. So we have this support of as many pillows or bolsters in between the knees as we can. Maybe there's a pillow underneath the head or a blanket underneath the head. But letting this be a really soft twist. So either our side lying shape, more of a restorative shape, more of a place of just rest, or our twist opening up through that left side of the body if the knees are over to the right. Choosing the one that feels right for us today in this moment. Letting ourselves settle into the shape. Wherever we are, really letting ourselves be held by the ground. Maybe noticing the parts of our body that are connected to the earth. That bottom leg, the bottom shin, the bottom hip, side of the foot. The shoulder and the arm that is connected to the ground. Maybe one, maybe both. The part of our head that is connecting to the earth or to our support. Seeing if we can really sink into these parts of the body that are being held by the ground. If we are in our twist, the reason we wanted to make this twist softer is to really allow ourselves to melt. Taking out any stress on the body. Seeing if we can really relax into all that openness, that yumminess that we've created. What are we trying to listen to here? Is it the breath? Is it the softness and the release in our body? The letting go, the surrender, the yielding? Is it the space in between our thoughts? Knowing that if the shape isn't serving you, that we can edit it or come out at any time. We're in our twist, we can bring more support in between the legs. We need to make it softer, we can bring the knees a little lower on the body. And if we're in our side lying shape, just any small adjustments we'd like to make. We're going to slowly start to think about rolling back onto our back. So if we've got support in between the knees, taking that to the side or underneath the head, slowly rolling onto our back. Either taking a couple of moments in semi-supine, feet on the mat, knees up to the sky, or hugging the knees in towards the chest. And then we slowly set up to do that on the other side. So we take the knees over to the left or the other side, if that's what we've done. Maybe we take our side lying shape. So we bring pillows, bolsters in between our knees. We bring a pillow, a block underneath the head. We'd hold in our fetal position, our arms resting wherever feels comfy. Or we start to open this right arm up. We roll back into that twist we found at the beginning with some softness in between our knees, some support to really encourage a soft version of the twist. And also a twist that really focuses on creating space in the middle of the spine rather than getting into the shoulders or into the lower back. Noticing how we are finding the stillness, the slowness, trying to notice what comes up, but without passing any judgment, without telling ourselves we're doing a good or a bad job. Really lovely, everyone. If the mind starts to wander, trying to not get impatient with ourselves, knowing that to keep the mind still is an incredibly challenging thing to do, showing ourselves a lot of kindness and compassion with that. Trying to soften and yield into the ground, into this support that can hold all of us. No, letting go is hard. So just trying to soften as best we can. Maybe trying to relax a little bit more on each exhale. We're going to slowly, moving our body with care, find our way onto our back, either taking a few moments in semi-supine or hugging knees in towards the chest, slowly, not rushing out of these long hold shapes. The next place we're coming into is our legs up the wall shape. So you want to slowly bring yourself either next to a wall, a sofa, a bed, a chair, something you can bring your legs onto. If you'd like some support underneath the hips, you can bring a pillow underneath the hips. You can do this with a bolster as well. I would maybe recommend in this really restful practice that could be quite a big stretch into our lower back, only doing this with a pillow or with nothing underneath. Taking the legs one at a time up the wall. The hips can be quite close to the wall. They can be a little bit further away. If we're coming onto a bed or a chair or a sofa, we might bend the knees so the shins can rest on that object. But we just want to be somewhere we can really give the weight of our legs to the object. Hands resting wherever feels comfy. You might have a little bend in the knees here, especially if our hamstrings, back of the legs are quite tight. Hands resting wherever feels connecting. That could be on the body, next to the body, or out in a big T shape. How much can you give the weight of your legs to your support? How much can you give the weight of your torso to the ground? If you want to let out a big loud sigh, that's always there. We can always make noise in our practice wherever we are, but especially in our home practice. Taking as long as you need to set up. There is no rush to arrive in the shape. We've got another 3 minutes here, so if you can make it comfier for yourself, I would encourage you to do that. Maybe noticing our breath. We might notice a gentle rise and fall across the front of the body. If our mind starts to wander, seeing if we can gently nudge it back, not snatch it, not grip it, not yank it back. But softly bringing it back to our inhales and our exhales. Slowly and with care, we're going to find our way into our final resting shape, our Shavasana. So if your legs are up the wall, we might roll onto the side of the body, and then use our hands to gently bring ourselves back to our mat, making ourselves the comfiest final resting place we can. So that might be pillow underneath the head, a blanket underneath over the body or underneath the body. bolsters or pillows underneath the backs of the knees or the thighs. We can take it lying on our side, maybe with a similar support to what we had before when we were in our side lying position. Maybe lying on our belly, which can be a really nice place to be. If we're feeling a little bit anxious or vulnerable, to close up that soft front of the body towards the ground can be a really lovely variation of our final rest. Any wiggles along the way, anything that can set us up for the comfiest final rest we can. And when we settle, we're going to take a gentle inhale through the nose. Gentle exhale. If you need to edit, adjust, change the shape, a reminder that is always welcome. You're never stuck. You're not a statue. We're never looking to suffer through rest. Taking one more big breath together. Breathing in through the nose, filling up the belly full of air. Big, loud sigh out of the mouth. Now, for this last minute, we're in rest. I'd love to read you a poem I really love that I find really connecting when I feel like I don't deserve to be listened to. If you don't want to listen, you want to stay with yourself, that's absolutely fine. Just tune me out. But if you'd like to listen in, it's called Wild Geese by Mary Oliver. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for hundreds of miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination. calls to you like wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. If you would like to stay and rest for longer, that is always, always welcome. If you're coming with me, taking a gentle inhale through the nose together. Gentle exhale. Slowly starting to wake up from the edges of the body. So that might be fingertips or toes, or rolling the crown of the head, or moving straight away into the arms. Whatever feels right for you, absolutely no right or wrong. Waking up your body in a way that feels caring and nourishing. Stretching into it in a way that feels good. We're going to slowly start to find our way up to seated. So that might mean rolling to the side and staying there for a few breaths. It might mean hugging the knees in towards the chest and having a little wiggle, and then softly rolling up to a seat. Somewhere we can sit tall through our spine. Any little wiggles along the way, super, super welcome. And then we're going to bring our hands to close to our heart, maybe Anjali Mudra, prayer at heart center, or palms resting over our heart. Sitting tall through the spine, feeling the warmth of your hands near to your heart. Taking a moment to show yourself gratitude for showing up for your practice, dedicating time to slowness and softness and to yourself. We're going to close with one big breath together. Breathing in through the nose, filling up the belly full of air, deepest breath we can. And then a big, loud sigh out of the mouth, letting everything out. They aren't already, gently blinking our eyes open. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. It was so lovely to have you here. I'll see you all soon. Thanks so much.